Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, this is your timeless reading, and if you are returning here, thank you for infusing your energy into every upload. I wanted to do a pick a card, but I actually have a completely different idea. So in the timestamps, you will find each of these 3 short readings. We are going to do one reading of how the Divine Masculines coming to this reading in this collective are viewing their Divine Feminine, and another one of how the Divine Feminine is viewing the Divine Masculine, and a third one on what the likely outcome is for this Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine collective at this current time. We are about to enter into eclipse season in the month of August and the Lionsgate portal, which can be very significant for divine counterparts. There have also been a couple of different divine counterpart portals in the end of July. July specifically is a very potent month for divine counterparts and twin flames and things of that nature. So I wanted to see where we were at before we get into the eclipses. We have a full moon in Aquarius, okay? So we could be thinking about things in a more unconventional sense, but let's get right into it. Don't forget to look at the timestamps and any images on the cards that jump out at you, because all of that may have some channeled guidance in there for you from your spiritual team. This first reading is for how Divine Masculine is perceiving his Divine Feminine, and we are going to be using my signature deck, the Resurrection Oracle. As we cut the deck, we have Soul, which is summer energy, and Master, okay, Jupiter energy. Okay, and I smack the cards. This is for how Divine Masculine is perceiving Divine Feminine. Oh, okay. Oh. There's a first time for everything. It's the first time Twin Flames has dropped from this deck in a reading. Online, anyway. Okay. Wow. Okay, so for Divine Masculine's energy toward Divine Feminine, we have root chakra energy, primal, instinct, reaction, and security. So right now, Divine Masculine is very triggered, okay, by Divine Feminine, okay, and very much in manifestation mode, very much trying to articulate his vision. I'm saying his because we're talking about Divine Masculine, but please know that gender is non-specific here, okay? Your Divine Masculine could just as easily be gendered female, okay? It is about the energies that we dominate. And so if I'm using him or her, it's just for ease, okay? Not for gender, okay? The first cards that I saw jump out were these 4. Make sure you can see. We have flow, grief, detour. This is sacral energy, okay? Soul, cyclical, okay? We have a cat, a deer, and a woman, 666. We have grief, okay? Our spilled milk card. We have detour, elevation, illusion, and timeline. We have twin flames. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is such a special card. If I only knew the significance of this card when I took this image. This is our twin flames card, blueprint, eternal monadic. Okay, so if you're coming to this if you're coming to this reading, you more than likely are identifying in a twin flame journey. We also got water. Okay. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Body, community, and healing. We got Throne. Okay, we got our Divine Masculine card. I really wanted to make positive Divine Masculine cards for this deck, and I've made a couple of them. But this is my favorite. I think he's so beautiful. Throne, devotion, protection, vision. Then we got space and martyr. Okay. Let me go ahead and make some room. Okay, I just wanted to adjust the camera really quick. All right, let's get right into it. So this is how Divine Masculine is perceiving Divine Feminine. And what's so interesting about this layout is this is Divine Masculine's perception, but it really is his experience, okay? It has very little to do with Divine Feminine's experience, so I'll be really interested to see what comes out in the Divine Feminine toward Divine Masculine reading, okay? Because this Divine Masculine is very much in his root chakra because he's feeling triggered. He's feeling like he needs to have security and establish himself, right? Because there's this energy where this Divine Masculine is perceiving the Divine Feminine as in flow state, okay? Working with her natural energy and intuition and wants to complement that, okay? But there is a process, right, to come into the energy of Divine Masculinity and to be able to complement a Divine Feminine. And so what I'm seeing here is like this Divine Masculine is going through this process, okay? There is a separation. So if you're coming to this reading, you may be in separation from your divine counterpart or your twin flame. You may be on a karmic detour. So this Divine Masculine may be in some sort of third-party situation with a karmic. They may be married, okay, to the karmic, okay, which is quite common. All right, but there's grief around this, okay? There's grief, there is unprocessed emotion, and there is this energy of feeling like with martyr, there is this energy where this Divine Masculine is feeling like they made the ultimate sacrifice for their feminine in that they sacrificed their relationship with them, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it's coming across that way, or they felt like that's what they were doing, but because they're dealing with so much grief toward this feminine, they're realizing that they might have just only sacrificed their own happiness. They might not have actually made, you know, this sacrifice for their feminine that they're creating in their mind. Okay, so we have Mars energy, we have Uranus energy, okay? Oop. Sorry, y'all. And clarify this energy. Divine Masculine's perception of Divine Feminine. Okay. Oh. 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 Wow. This is gonna be my last go around because we're gonna be here all night. Listen, okay, I'm one woman. Give me a second. Okay, terms in the reverse position. The first card that I saw jump out and it flew over here, if I can get it, is communication, okay? So yeah, there's definitely separation. There's definitely no contact. I think that this Divine Masculine is waiting for the Divine Feminine to like reach out and maybe initiate some communication. We'll find out from the Divine Feminine reading if that is what is going to happen or what the likely outcome is. But that's what it feels like. It feels like the Divine Masculine is waiting for the Feminine to reach out. Okay, with terms in the reverse, sneaky in the reverse position, they're definitely tired of lurking on this Feminine. Secrets, okay? And the thing is, one of the reasons why they have stayed in separation or stayed in no contact with this Feminine is because they were unwilling with terms in the reverse position to negotiate like ideas. And when I say ideas, it could be ideas, it could be events, it could be things that took place. Like they didn't want to negotiate what took place between y'all, okay? Because there's definitely a history here, right? With this grief element. But they're no longer in a position where they're interested in negotiating it. Because what it feels like is the grief has taken over, and now it's like, it's not as important for me to negotiate like facts, okay? Because I'm suffering. That's what it feels like. Okay, secrets, hidden truth, right? Because this divine masculine is harboring a lot of, like I said, unprocessed emotion. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. So there are hidden taboo elements emotionally that he was concealing from this feminine, as well as relational, emotional elements that he was healing, or, well, yes, he was in this process of healing, but he was sort of, it feels like healing codependency, Cancer energy, and as well as Pisces energy of like healing illusions. And this is why we went on the karmic detour, because we needed to fully realize the illusion and then wake up inside of the illusion, okay? And a lot of masculines don't realize that that is actually a part of the soul plan. Sometimes they're just like, oh my gosh, like I am realizing that this whole thing, this whole karmic detour was an illusion and a lie, okay? That I forced, right, as a martyr, because I thought that I was doing right by my divine feminine, right? But a lot of times that is their process. They have to fully realize the illusion, marry the karmic, have the kids, do the legal stuff, get themselves completely wrapped up in it. And that's when spirit wakes them up and they're like, surprise, surprise. Spirit is irritating. I know, right? Okay, we have reminiscing, appreciation, and options in the reverse position. So they are doing a lot of revisiting the past. I do feel like with negotiation in the reverse position, one of the reasons why they no longer want to negotiate facts, or they don't want to fight over certain things that happened from the past, is because their perspective is changing on past events. I think that, you know, the energy that I'm receiving is they're appreciating different things about their feminine that they may have overlooked or even minimized in the past. Because I do feel like with the martyr energy, they may have viewed their divine feminine as a martyr, okay? They may have felt like, okay, divine feminine chooses to sacrifice herself for me, so therefore I don't have to take accountability for myself, right? And so what is being revealed here is that the energy of martyrdom that they were perceiving from their divine counterpart was devotion, right? The devotion that they're feeling inside now for that feminine, now that they're in separation. But with options, they're feeling like they don't have a lot of options when it comes to next steps. Somebody has to break the ice, right? Somebody has to reach out and communicate. But with this communication card, I'm getting that this divine masculine is waiting, right? They feel like they're in this waiting energy. They're manifesting their intent behind their next communication with this feminine, and almost waiting for divine guidance on what to do. It would be easier, right, if the feminine would reach out in many ways, but I'm not getting that may be coming through here, because there is this energy of sneaky in reverse where this masculine has been concealing themselves from the feminine. And I'm getting that the spirit, you know, their spiritual team wants them to step into a bit of their masculinity, step onto the throne, okay, and initiate, take the action, and be the doer, right, within your masculine role. But this divine masculine feels like they don't have a lot of options, and they definitely wish that they had more options, okay? On the bottom of the deck for this masculine, we have family in the reverse position, building foundation, feeling safe, and starting family. Okay, so with family in the reverse position, like I said, this divine masculine may be a husband, they may be a father, they may have, you know, different responsibilities, and with family in the reverse position, there seems to be a priority, right, on family, but it's coming in the reverse here, okay? Because with this sacral energy, reaction, security, instinct, there is this energy where how they created foundation for a family in the past won't be how they create foundation moving forward if they are interested in doing so with this divine feminine, and that's what it feels like, right? They feel like they want to create a new foundation, but it's not with the same tools that they created the karmic family with, right? So we will have to see how this plays out for the divine masculine. I hope you got something out from this reading, and the next reading will be how the divine feminine is perceiving the divine masculine, and after that, the likely outcome in the situation. Hey friends, this reading is for how the divine feminine in our collective is perceiving the divine masculine in our collective, okay? This is a divine counterpart timestamp reading. Oh, okay. Wow. I'm shook. Okay. Well, let me show you why I'm shook. Because in the last reading, okay, we had flow come out first for how the divine masculine is perceiving the divine feminine. And now from her perspective, we have wolf, the opposite. The literal divine opposite, okay? 111 twice. We have attune, decode, wolf, soul, mine, yang, primal. So this came out for the divine masculine. So divine feminine is on it. Bloom, okay, spring energy, new moon energy, astral, subtext in the reverse position, connection, telepathy, sensory, mark, haunted, obsessive, south node, okay? And then on the bottom of the deck, we have chaos, autonomy, challenge, raw. Okay, we have Lilith, sun, crown, third eye, solar plexus, root. Okay. Also the number 12 may be significant. So we also have Mercury, okay? South node, 12. 12 is a union number. Okay, so automatically, the divine feminines coming to this reading are intuitive, okay? You're picking it up. You've been feeling your divine masculine energy. You're not new to this. This continues to happen to you, right? With decode and subtext, okay? So you've been getting downloads. You've probably been going through this for a while through your third eye. And you experience telepathy, right? Twin flame communication or divine counterpart communication or simply just soul telepathy, right? You can experience telepathy with soulmates that are your family members, your friends, anything, right? Depends on your clairsenses, okay? The divine feminine coming to this reading definitely is downloading things through their clear senses, but I do feel like there is a lack of clarity, okay, regarding certain messages that they're getting around their masculine, because we have subtext in the reverse position. So this also may indicate, especially with astral, okay, that your telepathic dialogue may not be as active at this time, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes that is an indicator that you won't be talking as much telepathically, that you may actually start speaking in real life. Other times it's just because your energy or the telepathic energy ebbs and flows. Like, you're not always going to be receiving synchronicities at the same velocity, okay? Sometimes it slows down depending on energy. Masculine energy retracts a lot, okay, because it has to like figure itself out before it can come back into the feminine's field. And so this could be you experiencing or feeling the masculine retract on you, okay, because you feel like with a tune that your masculine is coming into a deeper awareness about the connection. You're intuitively picking that up. You're picking up on the synergy, okay, between your energies. You're also picking up on, with Mark, South Node, haunted, obsessive, permanent, you're picking up on the masculine's feelings toward you, okay? And also their fixed energy, things that they came into this life already having to deal with, okay? You're also picking up on the energy of this masculine wanting to do, wanting to give, wanting to build with you, okay? But having some sort of struggle in their root chakra, wanting this new beginning and to take action. You feel the new beginning, right? You feel a reconciliation timeline, okay? But this is all felt, okay? This is felt, this is not seen, okay? Because I do feel like with Kyle's, you're just in this world, dude. I feel you. You're just in this world. Like, you feel everything that's going on. You can feel the ego death of your divine masculine, okay? You can feel your divine masculine coming up against attachments, okay, with mine. And you can also feel their martyrdom, okay? So let's pull a little bit more. Oh. Okay, so we have summer twice. So we can feel, you know, the divine feminine can feel very deeply that this masculine wants to make a move, okay? They want to do something, okay? But part of the reason why they're not making this move just yet is because they're used to being an escape artist. They are used to evading things, and they can't, okay? And that's not on you. It's on them and their spiritual trajectory, right? Okay. Evidence. Okay, so also too, like, you also feel like they know. He knows. He knows. You're like, you know, so there's nothing that you need for me to tell you. The evidence is right in front of your face. I'm not gonna call you to you know, to tell you what you already know. Okay. Wow. Okay, so there's reminiscing happening on both sides here, okay, right? But for this, like, divine masculine, I felt like was looking at old experiences through new eyes, and divine feminine is reminiscing, okay? But the only thing that she's going over is the evidence, okay? The fact that it was all there the whole time. Like, she's not necessarily seeing it with new eyes. She's seeing what she already knows, okay? Because she's going through this very deep, okay, children in reverse, she's going through this very deep emotional maturing. And, you know, divine femmes, I'll tell you what, we can be naturally a lot more mature emotionally than divine masculines, And sometimes that makes us think that we don't have more maturing to do. And as it turns out, most of us do, right? And so Divine Feminine, in this case, is going through a deep emotional maturing. Okay, there's no... With Decode was inspired by Paramore, okay? The song Decode. And she's saying, how did we get here? I used to know you so well. I think I know, right? It's her intuition, the intangible elements that she can't necessarily put her finger on, but she knows it's there, right? That is where the emotional maturity is coming from, where you're like, look, this Divine Feminine is like, I know what I know without seeing it, and I'm accepting my Divine Masculine as is. I'm not trying to force this vision into something that it's not, if it's not there yet, or if it's not there, period. Okay, we're really emotionally maturing here. They're feeling this energy that the Divine Masculine wants to make a move, but they're themselves, the feminine, around Summer in reverse, she's not going to make that move. Okay, she's going to wait. She's going to wait. Okay, Justice in reverse, right? Because she's like, look, you know where I stay? Mine. Come right now, you know where I stay. You know where I'm at. You know where I'm at when you're ready to make things right. And also with reminiscing, it's like, this feminine is like, I'm okay with, I'm content with my efforts. When I look at the past, I've done yang energy. I've done enough. I set the foundation, okay, for this relationship. Root chakra, okay? And I'm open to this new beginning. I'm open to this reconciliation. But I'm not going to make that move, okay? Wow. Let's make sure we can get it all out. We won't be here all night. Okay, perfect. Okay, so risk. I originally saw risk in the reverse position, okay? But I'm going to take it in the midway. I'm going to tell you why. There is this sense, okay, with this Divine Feminine that there is always a moderate risk when she connects with this Divine Masculine, but there's also not a risk at the same time, okay? Because if destiny is the plan, then destiny is only a risk if whatever you're doing is inherently risky, right? It's not a risk over her life anymore because there is sovereignty here, okay? Okay. Though from the outside point of view, it may look like you're rolling the dice, sweetheart. This Divine Feminine doesn't feel like she is, because like, at the end of the day, the risk is for divine love to be able to ground, or it just stays inside of her. So the risk doesn't actually feel like a risk. It just feels like a change or a continuation. Okay, and then on the bottom of the deck, ghost, disappearing, cold and distant, no contact, leaving behind. Yeah, this Divine Feminine is not going to break no contact. They're open to reconciliation, but they're not going to be the one who makes the move, though they do feel and sense a union coming. So in the next reading, we will look at the likely outcome for this divine counterpart. Okay, this reading is for the likely outcome for the divine counterparts coming to this reading. We have root, north node, okay, before we cut this deck. The north node is the destiny path. Oh my gosh. Destiny path and twin flames. Let's go. I'm proud of us, you guys. I'm proud of all of us. Wow, beautiful. Okay, let's stick with these four. Already face up, we have reap, okay, and matter. Full moon energy, okay, and lot of fortune. So reap and matter, this connection will ground, okay? It's gonna hit that ground. Look up your lot of fortune also in astrology in your natal chart if you're coming to this reading. A lot of people do not look at that placement, and your lot of fortune will literally tell you, based on what sign it's in, how a lot of your earthly abundance is going to come to you in this life, okay? Then we have abundance with reap, fall energy, autumn, blessings, measure, gratitude, full moon. So there will be a release in this connection, and it will ground, okay, with matter. We have astral, okay, so there is an ascension taking place, okay? So you are coming into what feels like union, wow, okay, and master, Jupiter energy, expansion capacity. So the likely outcome is this connection is going to continue to expand in capacity, and each partner is going to increase their capacity for love and abundance. Okay, capacity is usually dictated by conditions and then the state of those conditions, right? So if love is an energy, okay, and the capacity of love is unconditional, right? The thing that creates barriers between unconditional and the energy of love flowing is capacity, right? The thing that creates barriers is attachments. The things that help dissipate attachments is inner security. You understand? Okay? So, especially, oh my gosh, Saturn retrograde these next 5 months, inner security will be solidified between each individual in this divine union, okay, this divine counterpart, which will increase their capacity for unconditional love. It's the same thing when it comes to abundance and money, right? If money is energy, like love is energy. If love can be unconditional, money can be limitless, okay? This is like what I've been journaling about recently, okay? If inner security creates the right conditions for unconditional love, we have to look at what creates the right conditions for abundance to be limitless. So with that, I came up, well, I assert that what that is equanimity. I think I'm saying it right, okay? Which is the state of being able to manage ups and downs, okay? Uncertainty, really, right? Because if attachments create barriers to unconditional love, the thing that must create barriers for abundance would then have to be an inability to remain emotionally balanced, an inability to sustain your equanimity, which would mean being reactive, right? So everyone in this relationship is learning how to be responsive and not reactive, which is so funny because, you know, if you're coming to this reading and you have a twin flame and you ever had a conversation with your twin flame, I've had conversations with my twin flame, obviously, but there are only like certain details I don't really remember, right? But there are certain things that will stick out And that's because anytime we speak to our twin, we're not having one conversation. We're having multiple conversations within one conversation. There's a nonverbal conversation going on. There's a verbal conversation going on. There's codes being switched back and forth. Okay, and there are things that even as I step back and I look at it, I'm like, wow, that was literally a code that was given to me, or that I gave to him, that he would use later, or that I would use later. Okay, and one of the ones that my divine masculine gave to me, that I will never, I never forgot it. It always stuck with me. It always came back to me. Two things. One, that I over-explain myself, which is true, which is facts, right? And I always, like, I took that to heart because I knew it was a trauma response. The second thing that he said to me once, and in the context of him saying it, it was absolutely absurd, right? Which happens a lot, but that's because it was a code for later. It wasn't a code for that moment. He told me to stop reacting. Okay. And in the moment, it was completely absurd, okay? Because it was like, stop reacting. You're fucking with me. That's why I'm reacting. You're fucking lying. That's why I'm reacting. What do you mean? Right? But like, it was truly like, it was game. It was ball, how the kids be saying, right? It was him telling me that my role as a divine feminine is not to react, period. It's to assess and respond, okay? And that is very important for all divine feminines to cultivate, right? So that's what's happening in the likely outcome. We're learning to assess and respond and not react, okay? On the bottom of the deck, we have giver, gift, healing, mission. Okay, so these divine counterparts are being activated to their mission, okay, through their healing process. Their mission as flames, their mission here on this planet, and that is exactly why this relationship is going to ground. It's going to hit that ground, okay? We just need for the collective to be ready to communicate with one another. So, my advice, respond, don't react, okay? Love you all. I will see you in the next reading. Bye-bye.